can you guys hear me? My internet is like going in and out. Okay, great.
I don't know what that was. Okay, am I still echoing? Nice. Okay, so we have kind of a full agenda today, so let's just get into it. The Senate will now be called to order. I would like to first start with a land acknowledgement. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect on the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we do our business today. And since this meeting is being held online, one land acknowledgement can't capture the richness and the history of where everyone is right now. But since ASG is a body under the University of San Diego, I would like to share the land acknowledgement that's used at USD. And I also invite everyone today to take a moment later to regard your own positionality and where you are. I want to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of the Kumeyaw Nation. I want to pay respect to the citizens of the Kumeyaw Nation, both past and present, in their continued relationship to their ancestral lands. The Clerk of Senate will now take roll.
Okay. Hi, everyone, and happy last Senate meeting. Oh my gosh, this went by so fast. But okay, so the first person I have is AJ Armienta.
Here.
Thank you. Okay, Alana Del Torre. Okay, I'll come back. Alana Bledman.
Here.
Thank you. I know, okay, Alexa Andrade. If you, okay, thank you. If you're a proxy, please say proxy. Okay, Angela Tharp.
Here.
Thank you. Benjamin Tebow.
Here.
Thank you. Brooke Powell.
Proxy.
Thank you so much. Okay. Catalina Carvajal.
Here.
Thank you. I think I finally mastered it, Cata. I got it.
We did. I love it.
Okay. Cecilia Beron. Okay, I'll come back. Chidi Okaru.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Daniela Benya. Daniela Benya. I know that she has a proxy today. Oh. Okay. All right, Elena Cruz.
Here.
Thanks. Fantasy Bias.
Here.
Thank you. Okay. Harrison Tarbox.
Here.
Thank you. Jay Johnson.
Yo, I'm here.
Thank you. Lauren Fetes.
Here.
Thank you. Madeline.
Here.
Thank you. Max Donahoe.
Here.
Thanks. Meg McWilliams. Meg McWilliams. I will come back. Megan Womack. Is that?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, wonderful. Mia Soto.
Here.
Okay. Sabrina Mendoza.
Here.
Okay. Sean Kenny.
Here.
Thank you. Thomas Riley.
Here.
Awesome. And Nana Fee.
Here.
Thank you.
You didn't call my name, Ari.
I didn't. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh,
I'm present.
okay. Thank you. Got it. Thanks, Ezra. Alrighty. And we are set to go.
Thank you, Ari. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Are there any motions? Ben,
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
there's a motion on the floor having been seconded to approve today's agenda. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. And as a reminder, because I know there's some proxies today, everyone must cast a vote. So you can click yes, no, or go slower. Go slower means you're abstaining. And also to the proxies, if you can leave your vote up until the motion is either approved or tabled. Meg and Linnea, can you please cast your votes? Meg O'Hearn. Okay, motion passes. Agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from last week's meeting. Are there any motions? Madeline?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
There is a motion on the floor having been seconded to approve last week's minutes. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Motion passes. Minutes have been approved. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a report from me. I don't have much to say except just a reminder for the chat. Please only send resources or links or things like that. Don't use the chat for any comments. If you want to speak, please use your hand, just so it's more equitable for everybody following Robert's rules.
Can I turn this off?
I was just going to check over.
And next item on the agenda is report from committee chairs and coordinators.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So not too much to report from Academics Committee. We are in the works of talking about extending the actual application for spring grants. So potentially opening that up to intersession, allowing students to utilize that time, especially considering that we have a little bit longer of a break than in previous years. We've also considered putting together a pass-fail resolution. If anybody has any resources, input, or anything else they'd like to contribute, please reach out to either ASG Academics at sandiego.edu or any of the academics committee members. And finally, we had one of our committee members reach out to Dean Din regarding possible concerns students may have as far as privacy whenever using Respondus Lockdown, making it a school requirement for teachers to use the cameras for exams. So that is in the works as well. Thank you.
Okay, so first, I wanted to update that we are still working on creating a student leader anti-racism training for spring 2021 in collaboration with the student org committee. And it will include things that are listed here like systemic and institutional racism, microaggressions, intersectionality, xenophobia, but that's just a starting point. The other update is actually from the Gender Equality and Sex Positivity Club, who held a Zoom sit-in last Friday after their pass-fail petition was denied. Over 70 students attended, and the Zoom recording was sent to the provost and other administrators. And currently, the denial is Under reevaluation is the last word I heard from GESP. And GESP asks that we continue to take action steps to push towards approval or other remedies for harm done by the academic situation this semester. And this includes emailing administrators with your comments and concerns. And I can put that link in the chat as well. And then I also wanted to uplift the Missing Voices protest that is being put on by the grad school counselors advocating and pursuing equity group. And it was in response to a white student in a clinical mental health class saying that the stories and perspectives of marginalized voices were uninformed and uneducational. And so they asked that those students, both undergrad and grad students with marginalized identities only, change their profile picture to what I have my profile picture as, and it's also in the chat. And there's also a flyer and more information in the chat as well in those documents. And that's it for me.
Alana is having some technical difficulties, so she asked me to give her updates, but there will just be 4 new clubs seeking approval that Jay will talk about later.
Hello, everyone. I hope you are all staying safe and sane during these stressful times, especially with finals coming up. Just a couple things. Me and another senator met with Kendra Muller, who is the vice chair of the Graduate Student Council. And this meeting was regarding how ASG, the Graduate Student Council, and USD as a whole can better support veterans on campus and ensure that they are getting the support they deserve and everything with that. So that will be an ongoing conversation. If anyone is interested in joining that, please let me know. We'd love to have some more people get in on this. The other thing is that we are still ironing out some details about getting a tram program running for next semester to make sure students are able to safely explore San Diego and not be kept up in their dorms or sort of convinced that going out and participating in unsafe activities is the only way to socialize with other students. So especially with San Diego entering back into the purple zone and things closing again, we want to make sure that this program would be COVID safe and making sure all students and all people involved would be able to have fun while staying safe.
Does that mean I talk? Because the athletics coordinator doesn't have one?
I don't have an update, but I will post the BIPOC student athlete interest form in the chat again, as I have been for the past few weeks. If anybody knows anyone who is interested in that, thank you.
Okay, the update I had was that the SHWIP is continuing a series of messaging campaigns for the Winter of Well-Being, continuing through December through January. And then I think I already talked about this last week, the Take Care of You initiative. If you go to their Instagram, they have a giveaway in their biography, in their little status up, you know, that area up there. It's like a weighted blanket and an oil diffuser. I don't really know what an oil diffuser is, but I know a weighted blanket is. That's the most appealing thing I've heard all week. And some insider information, not many people have entered. So if you're looking for a weighted blanket, this might be your shot. So I'll post the little link, and it's through the weekend.
Happy Thursday, everybody. So the supplier diversity meeting is tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you guys would like to hop in on this fun party, just contact me and I can send you the Zoom link. It'll be very exciting. I also submitted a design request in the creative zone for a kind of green logo that we can put on ASG's printed materials, like if they are on green paper or green ink. And then I worked with ASG marketing on a SPG Instagram campaign, like explaining that we are working on adopting these guidelines and encouraging other organizations to adopt them as well. And I would also like to get your guys' input on a campus race to zero waste. It used to be called Recycle Mania with an exclamation mark. Since then, they have changed the name. We did it like 2 years ago, and apparently there wasn't a lot of student interest in it, but I took a look at it, and they have great resources and event ideas on creating an engaged community and educating our community on being zero waste. So I'd like to take a little poll to see how you all feel about this. Just in the participants window, check yes if you think constituents would be interested or if it would be good for our campus, or no if you don't think so. Also, even if you're not a senator, I kind of want to know. I just want to ask as many people as possible. So if you all could do that, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Those are all my updates, by the way.
Hello, everyone. I was so eager to go, so thank you for changing the slide. Obviously, there's a lot of updates on here. Have a lot to tell y'all, have a lot to update y'all on. So super excited. If you don't really want to look at all the wording, that's okay. I'm super vocal. So we have a growing committee. I'm super excited. We were able to meet some of us earlier today, and so kind of going over some updates. But also, if you are still interested, or if you have any constituents that are interested, please let me know. You can email me. My email's up there, or feel free to reach out in any way that you can. I will be kind of like informally working during break, just as like a student that's very passionate about this stuff. But I know that we're not necessarily doing any meetings during the intersessions, so no need. We will rekindle after the break, more towards like the end of January. And then I just wanted to kind of speak upon the pass-fail collaboration. So I also attended the sit-in as a student, as a senator, as someone who's passionate about this project. And it definitely connects to the Universal Design Ad Hoc Committee. It connects to people registered with the DODRC. It would definitely be beneficial for folks to be accommodated in any ways they can. If you're able to look at the pass-fail petition, there are some comments from students saying their accommodations aren't being met. So this would kind of like help or zero out them just being more successful. And so I think it's definitely super connecting to UDC. So we're gonna continue to connect with the organizers from that petition, but also the academics committee. And I've been talking to a senator on that committee. And then we have probably one of the most important things that is on this slide is the USD Accessibility Concerns and Support Needed form. I will put that in the chat right now, but essentially what it is a Google form, and there's two ways that you could submit. Either you can submit a concern, or you can submit just kind of like a statement where you would need support or need some type of help. You can submit it anonymously, so it doesn't have to have your name, or you can submit it where it does have your name. the kind of benefit to having your name is that we would be able to contact you or the person and give you follow up on whether like which resource to reach out to or how to like do next steps. But we do understand that not all folks want to disclose their name and their personal issues and don't want to have their name tied to it. And so if you do not want to add your name, you do not have to. Or the form's not collecting any emails. And so it can be anonymous, but basically we titled it as the accessibility concerns because this does not have to only relate to disability. You do not have to be registered with the DLDRC to make any type of, I guess, concern or complaint or submission through this Google form. There have been examples such as professors telling students to print off their exam, and not all people have access to printers, much less other technological advancements. So if maybe that can be something you submit. Really, it's just a place, like a central place to go to and submit any concerns or requests that you may have or support that you need. And we did talk with the committee about this. And so just wanted to let y'all know, please share that as much as you can. For the marketing, we do have a flyer that I will share as well that talks about this form. But please, please, please utilize it, not only for yourself, but for your constituents and other students. It will be stored away in this Google form, but we will talk about it as a committee. We'll try to do our best to connect you to whether it's the DLDRC, student affairs, academics, whatever it is. We will try to help you in doing next steps, because we know that self-advocacy is probably one of the only ways that students are heard and things get done. And so it's very beneficial for y'all to utilize this. So again, please use that. Also, I was just letting y'all know that I haven't gotten any updates directly from the DLDRC, but I have been in talk with Dr. Melissa Halter, who is the AVP of Wellness, kind of like general wellness. And so I am super grateful for her for not only one-on-one meeting with me, but also coming to the Universal Design Committee meeting this morning. So thank you so much. It's good to have some representation that's a staff, faculty, or admin, along with student leaders. And so I just wanted to let y'all know, I know that we have someone speaking today, but just letting you know, I'm trying to talk with them as much as possible, but some things get lost in email, and just being transparent with y'all. And then as for Universal Design Marketing, so we have this first flyer, which is, hello? Okay, there. The Universal Design Concerns flyer. And so that will just show you, like, it's super fun. Shout out a senator on the marketing committee for doing this. You know who you are, bless up, because it's super helpful to have visuals to help get the word out about the form. And so that does have the form QR code and also link. Either way you do it, it's going to take you to the form. So feel free to send that to your constituents. And then we also have the Universal Design Committee interest flyer. That's just like, if y'all are interested, you can still be interested and try to get on the committee. Not try, you probably will get on. So please share those flyers with your constituents, share them with your class, your professors. The more we get out there, the more that folks know that we are a resource for them. And so thank you again, Marketing Committee. Also, one of our first initiatives is something that y'all can participate in today, and it is an action item, and it was completely inspired by the Pass Fail Sit In action items. So shout out to them. But I'm going to share this link with you right now. Please check if you have like access to it. But basically, this is a template, and this is what a previous center was talking about as well on the academics committee. But it's a template for y'all to send to department chairs, professors. Y'all, I don't know why it do that to me. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get access right now. Teehee. Huh? Can y'all let me know if that works? And if anything, I will have, hopefully, the Speaker of Senate to send these resources out to y'all, or you can look on the slides in the ASG files. I don't know why it's not working, but whatever. So essentially, I can try to open it up if that's okay, to like just let y'all know what it entails. Or you can click on it, but okay. So anyway, I just want to tell y'all about it. Essentially, it's still not working, so I'm gonna have to figure that out, technical difficulties, but it has the chair's emails, and then it has like relevant administrators' emails. And basically it is to discourage the use of lockdown browsers for finals and exams. It has a template that says like, hi, my name is, and then it has kind of like a description as to why we would discourage them. And then it has some examples directly from students. Not quotes directly, because we paraphrase, because we don't want to use anyone's name as of right now, but it does have examples of how students have had concerns with this lockdown browser. If y'all are not aware, there are two options of lockdown browser. One is that you just have like this kind of like this screen that you're not able to access other screens from. And then there's another way of lockdown browser, which is way more detailed, and it will actually make you like scan your whole room, like pick up your laptop, scan the room. You're not allowed to look away from the screen. This is super problematic for many reasons, so that's why we put them in the template. And then we also have a option for you to share your concerns if you've used a lockdown browser, or if you know any constituents that have other concerns. And then it has kind of like, in general, this is invasion of privacy. It's also super anxious for students to have to go through and take this exam. We understand that professors want to discourage cheating, but if they have trust in students and students have agency in how they take exams, I'm sure they're going to want to succeed in any ways they can. And this just kind of discourages students from feeling successful. So I will get that to y'all as soon as possible, hopefully by the end of this meeting. And then I'll put it in the chat. And then you literally can just like copy and paste the template, put it in an email, and then you can copy and paste all of the emails and put them in, directly send it to them, or you can CC or BCC them. And so, yes, I think I totally tried to do the like copy link thing. I don't know why it's not like letting this happen. Okay, I'm gonna try again. So yes, that's one of our things. Watch, I don't know if it's gonna work. Okay, y'all. So, and then another thing is, oh, it works. Hopefully, alrighty, you just made my day. Cool. Because this is an action item. I really want y'all to do this. I would encourage you right now, but I do want y'all to listen to Senate right now. So if you can find time, either like take 2 seconds to do it real quick, or find time right after Senate, or whenever, to do it as soon as possible. As many senators as we can to send it. And even if you want to tell your constituents to send it, the templates for anyone, and please share it with everyone. And yes, so hopefully they get the emails. Hopefully they will discourage it before finals. Yes, and feel free to change and add it. Please ask any questions if you have any. And then another initiative that we're working on is to add a question on professor feedback form regarding accessibility and professors' ability to accommodate. So I don't think this is on any feedback forms as of now, but we are wanting to put it in the future, because this is a huge thing that virtually it's definitely connecting students and professors, and students are having to go to professors to get their like set accommodations. And so it would be helpful to have them evaluated on how well they were listening or accommodated. And then another thing that we brought up in the Universal Design Committee is students taking a leave of absence due to accommodations not being met. So that is definitely something we're gonna be talking about in the committee. I know some folks that have already, this semester, they took a leave of absence because they weren't aware of how accessible online classes would be. And so that's gonna be in the works. Those are all the updates I have. I don't know if I can open it up to questions, but feel free to ask, or hearing of the public at the end, I can answer more. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Apparently the slides weren't updated for student orgs committee, but it's going to be one re-registering org and one org seeking one new org seeking approval. Okay, next item on the agenda, reports from ASG executive board members. Go ahead, Joey.
Cool. Thank you, Maya. Not too many updates. Just we had our executive board meeting this past Monday, and we plan to meet a couple times per month over winter break. We don't want to stop the work that we've done, and we want to really revamp the momentum that we've done. So with that, I'd just like to say that both the work regarding the face mask and shower cards will be done over break as well. Then with regards to other updates, I'm sure the other members of the executive board will have them covered.
Alrighty, so Justin's currently in faculty senate, so I'll be giving his updates. So for preparations for next semester, He's working on updates to the ASG textbook reserve over intersession to make it more accessible and public for students and professors alike. And then for proposed updates to non-tenured track faculty. So currently a term is used for non-tenured track faculty, which identifies them as adjunct or contingent faculty. And this has been deemed derogatory since the two terms can be defined as subordinate and not logically necessary. So therefore the college has suggested shifting some language around. So the language for non-tenured faculty will no longer refer to them as the adjunct faculty, but now as either the teaching professor or lecturer. And this will be uniform for office labels, identification, and just common verbiage. And then a new model for advancement for teaching professors will be formed, and it will be split into 3 levels. So this will be a gradual advancement since typical benefits only kick in after about 6 years. And a new committee will be created for the advancement of teaching professors. And there's also an increased need for inclusion and governance by the teaching professor population in committees, discussions, planning, etc. There are also plans for increased salary and general benefits of teaching professors. These can expand upon their use of shared office spaces, reserved parking spots, etc. And then lastly, for combined degree program, currently students can be enrolled in combined degree programs, whether they are undergrads or grad students. They can apply up to 12 units towards the requirements for both programs, and an updated clarification now states that these courses, 12 units, can be completed prior to that student getting accepted into the combined degree program. So if you have any questions for Justin, you can just email him. I'll put it in the chat, but it's jdouse@sandiego.edu, and that's all his updates.
Hi, everyone. So I have no new updates from last week, just that today is our virtual cooking class from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then tomorrow we will be distributing movie night essentials kits to the students who are living on campus. And then they will also be allowed to access one of the 4 movie selections, which was Toy Story, Shrek, Ratatouille, and Elf. And it'll be available for them just kind of as a thing going into the finals. And then once again, with the sweatpants, those are in the process and they will be delivered and mailed out to everyone. And that's it.
For my updates, I only have a couple. I've been mentioning the anti-racism task force that I'm on with Dr. Avery, Dean Powell, Bonnie Neptune from the School of Business. I've been mentioning that the past few weeks, and we're moving really quickly and things are coming together really great, actually. We had a meeting right before Senate to work on the subcommittee recommendations pertaining to student retention and recruitment. Those aren't finalized yet, but the entire subcommittee is going to, or the entire committee rather, is going to be finalizing our recommendations on Monday morning at like 9. So everything should be done by then. And then once I get like a PDF or something of the formal recommendations from all the 4 subgroups and the main task force, I'll send them your way. But yeah, they're coming together, so that should be a lot. And then that will be presented to the Board of Trustees in December. And then I don't know how many of you have read your emails yet, but around 12:10, you should have received, at least the students in the room should have received an email from exec as a response to Provost Baker. That same email letter I also forwarded to Provost Baker herself and the chair of University Senate as a response to the pass-fail policy and how we, were dissatisfied with our representation in the email, because we believe that Provost Baker's initial email made it seem as though ASG was in agreement with the decision, which we are not. And we also were dissatisfied with the rationale provided in that we don't think it was comprehensive enough, nor did we think the points were valid enough to support the conclusion. And we also had a section, what students can do in the meantime. So that was in our letter. I will drop it in the chat right now, actually, for anyone who didn't receive that. But yeah, so that was basically our response, which is being sent in the chat right now. And then last, I've had this as an update for the past like month now, but just in case, a reminder, the judicial branch does checks every 2 weeks. So if you have any questions about that, or if you think something's going on, just email me at asgchiefjustice@sandiego.edu and we'll look at it. but we won't probably be having a meeting until, I don't know, maybe one meeting in December, but probably won't meet till January, but we'll look at it when we get a chance. So yeah, that's all my updates. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Today I will be presenting the spring 2021 allocations and the corrective reports. And yeah, that's the only update from me.
Alrighty, hello again. So last week I mentioned about a survey going out, which will be just to gauge like what outlets students use more to get their news from. And so that's actually going to be postponed until the spring, just because lots is going on right now and finals week is next week. And then lastly, so typically we get polos for senators, but because of the current situation and we're most likely going to be remote next semester, we're going to get sweatshirts. So I know in the beginning of the semester, y'all filled out the ASG survey form, which asked for like sizing for polos. So because we're getting sweatshirts this time, you're allowed to just kind of change your size if you want something like a little bit more oversized. So I'm going to drop it in the chat, the form. Please complete this as soon as possible. If you have like 2 seconds to do it right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. But I'm gonna cut it off tomorrow morning and then order them hopefully soon. Again, as soon as possible is better. If you don't fill out that form, then I'm just gonna go based off of the survey and the sizes inputted on the survey. And I just wanted to say thank y'all for a really great semester, and I appreciate all of your hard work, and I can't wait for all the great things next semester. So please take a break during intersession. But yeah, thank you.
So Isaiah couldn't make it today, so I'll be giving his updates. Grubhub credits should be available for everyone who attended Senate last week. And if you haven't gotten Grubhub credits, then you can email Isaiah and I will send that in the chat. And there's a game night for ASG members tomorrow that Isaiah is putting on. It's from 6 to 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. And if you have not gotten an invite for that, then you can email Isaiah as well. Thank you. And moving on to our first item under new business is a discussion of the DLDRC centers or DLDRC's resources from the Assistant Vice President for Student Wellness, Dr. Melissa Halter. So Dr. Halter, the floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you all very much for inviting me here. My understanding is the key pieces that y'all wanted me to discuss a little bit was how things have changed with the DLDRC specifically tied to COVID-19. And so I'll try and be as succinct as possible and then also give opportunity for questions. So the DLDRC works with students who have a documented disability and who have chosen to register with the DLDRC. And our responsibility when someone registers with the DLDRC is to work with them to determine the best accommodations possible to support their needs without impacting the core elements of a class. And so it doesn't mean that we need to have an interactive process with that individual. And everyone who is registered with the DLDRC probably has a different set of accommodations. And then we'll work with the faculty and we'll work with the student, and we do our best to do a lot of disability management counseling is what we call support coaching for students, and students can have the opportunity to opt into this or not. At a minimum, they will get a list of their accommodations that they can give to their faculty, and the faculty will work with them on those. But if a student needs help as the semester goes on, we will work with them to do that. And we've had over 150 students this year newly register with the DLDRC. So that has been really important for our first year students to feel like they can connect. And we have been prioritizing making sure that we continually outreach to our new students, but all of the students who are registered do know that they can continually outreach. And then we, in the process, when we have heard complaints or concerns, we have outreached individually to those students to make sure we are best supporting them. And we seem to have had some success with that. really thankful for Fantasy in the fact that she invited one of us to participate in the Universal Design Committee, because that is where we can think about how do we set up environments that will support the success for all students, not just students who are registered with the DLDRC, because students who are registered with the DLDRC do need to self-select to do that and have appropriate documentation. And what we have found is absolutely we are learning and trying to do things differently on Zoom as professors are learning as well as students are learning. And each semester we're getting a little bit better, but we're going to continue to learn and grow in that area. And we're happy to take your feedback. And we do recognize that with COVID-19 and the virus driving a lot of what we are managing, it can be difficult for the whole campus to know, are we going to be remote? Are we going to be hybrid? How is that going to impact? And if you think about individuals' different disabilities, that may more stress or a higher level of stress or anxiety or challenge for individuals who have a documented disability, but actually for all of our students. And so where we can enhance our universal design is going to be really critical. And we have been working with IT to look at how do we better navigate what's happening on Zoom as well, and what our role in the DLDRC is to help with the IT elements as well. So I'm open to any questions that you have. I can tell you, as we've heard complaints, we have outreach to those students, and we have made sure that those students have had a one-on-one connection. So lots of times we hear that there's global complaints, but it's much easier when we have a name to be able to follow up with a specific student.
Thank you, Dr. Halter. Sabrina?
Hi, Dr. Halter. I have a question regarding like MLOAs or medical leaves of absences. Are you noticing that students are having to take those if they have a documented disability and they just aren't feeling supported, or maybe they're having some type of reoccurring side effects from contracting COVID or something of that nature? If they are taking documented or medical leaves of absences, how are you guys supporting them with the resources in order to re-enroll? Because it's a very difficult process to come off of a medical leave of absence, and I'm speaking from experience. So I just wanted to know, and if they're taking non-medical as well, like, are you guys staying in contact with these students? Are you checking in? What does that communication look like?
Sure. So there's a few different pieces in that question, so I'll do my best to answer quickly. And then if you want more information, please just follow up with me. So any student can take a medical leave of absence, and there may be a student who takes a medical leave of absence who does have a documented disability. And we're probably going to think about just a little bit of less than 1/5 of our students who would take a medical leave probably have a documented disability, because we're at about 18% of our campus are registered with the DLDRC. So our wellness area, depending upon which wellness area they go through to take their medical leave of absence, whether that's a physical medical leave of absence or a mental health leave of absence, or maybe really something related to alcohol or other drug concerns, they're assigned a particular area in wellness that outlines what the process would be to take a medical leave, and then what the process is to come back. And we do check in with them as they're coming back to see what supports they need and how we can best do that, whether that supports on campus or that supports off campus, and us helping in that care coordination support piece. So we are pretty connected to those individuals if they want us to be, but we want to be sensitive that some students may be not as interested in being connected with wellness. There is a community provider report form that somebody needs to submit to us. That means the person that they've been working with while they were on medical leave helps us understand what that student may need to come back on campus and be as successful as possible. So we definitely have that relationship. Then the other piece you were asking about leave of absence. Leaves of absences generally go through the Center for Student Success, and they also have staff who will be assigned for someone who's taking a leave of absence, and there is follow-up to ask if that student is coming back and how can we best support them, and they're given a series of resources to come back.
Thank you. Angelo?
Yeah, so I just have a few questions. So when you said that the DLDRC communicates like through to the students who are registered, so I'm registered and I didn't recall receiving any emails this semester. And I just checked my email inbox and I hadn't received anything from the DLDRC since the beginning of the semester about accommodation forms. So maybe I'm missing those emails, but I don't think so. That was just a comment on that. And then I was just wondering, has the university offered resources to the DLDRC since COVID? I mean, with 18% of students being registered, I'm just wondering what the university has done to assist the DLDRC through this online learning transition. And then my last question is, so you said that when you're brought attention to a concern of a student that you follow up with the student, which I think is great and important, but where does that information go? So when the DLDRC receives information with the concern, where do they bring that to? So for example, if it was regarding captioning on Zoom, what is the process of the DLDRC communicating that to the appropriate people at the university who would be able to actually address that issue?
I think I got most of the questions that you asked, Angelo, but there's one that I missed a word there. So you said something about on Zoom and I missed a word right before Zoom. So if I don't answer all the questions and that word was important, just remind me. So the email that you would have received, and I'm speaking about your particular situation at the beginning of the semester, would have been tied to your accommodations and your desire to engage with the DLDRC. And so as I spoke about, it would be an interactive process. So we need that student to engage back with us. And I can ask someone in the DLDRC to outreach to you to talk specifically about your situation if you felt like they did not outreach enough. But we do want to try and find the balance as to how much we outreach, because sometimes we have students say, stop, we don't want you to outreach anymore. And so in an interactive process, that means that the multiple parties need to be doing that. And so then next, when we go to when an issue arises, who do we bring those issues to? It's going to depend on who we need to bring to the conversation to address that issue. So sometimes I would say often it's the faculty member or the dean. Sometimes it's residential life and housing. It really depends on what is the issue and who do we in the conversation with the student feel like might be able to help us best resolve the concern or identify what might be strategies to assist. Did I miss anything on there, Angelo?
Angelo?
Just about what resources has the university offered or provided the DLDRC, given that 18%, you said 18% of students are registered. So sure. I'm just wondering if the university has been.
The university has been helpful to us, and what we are seeing is that an increase in students who have registered with the DLDRC over the past series of years. And so we have been in a place, and I'd have to look at the data if you're interested in it more specifically, but we went from a office of 2.5 professional staff members to now we have four professional staff members. We are in the place that, in part because of COVID-19, some of our staff have made decisions to step away or change roles because they wanted to move to be closer to family and things like that, or had things that caused them to need to shift roles. So we are short-staffed right now, shorter than we would like during an increased time period, but we can and do have the opportunity to hire, and those positions are posted. And we will be hiring those positions as we find a candidate who is best suited to support our students. So we do have the percentage of staff that we should, when you compare it with institutions our size and the number of students who are registered. Unfortunately, just right now, we're a little limited staff because of personal issues, why people stepped away from the roles that they were in. But thank you for asking that question. And I do believe that the DLDRC team would feel they are being supported by the university. And part of the reason that I'm here today versus Mike Martinez is because we do kind of shift and play multiple roles when different offices are short-staffed.
Angelo?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that I think that it is a little concerning that the concerns with the accessibility for Zoom haven't been addressed. Given that, during Senate last week, I did like a Google search and and found out how to get closed captioning, reached out to the people, figured out how this process works, and it seems pretty straightforward. And so for the university to have not addressed the issue yet, it just seems like it's not a priority. And it's a concern given that, they're denying the pass fail. So I guess that kind of has an assumption that they're responding correctly and the Zoom classes are all going great, but there's these concerns and they haven't been addressed. And so I think it's great that, you're working with students one-on-one. But I think that there's some things as far as accommodating go that is on a university level that need to be addressed and obviously have not.
And I thank you for your feedback, and please know that we're hearing it. And I do hope, in partnership with multiple people, but especially with ASG taking up the Universal Design Committee, we'll be able to do some of that work. So, and please let me know what other suggestions and things you have, and we'll continue to work to move forward.
Thank you, Dr. Halter. Does anyone else have any other questions or suggestions or concerns? Madeline?
Thank you. Hi, Dr. Halter. I know you mentioned that you were working with IT, and so I was just curious to hear a little bit more about what was going on with that.
I think we started working with IT last March as we were making shifts to online, because there was some significant concern, and there still is. And IT has helped train some of our DLDRC staff so that they can help students know how to best utilize Zoom. We have worked with IT and continuing education for faculty and staff about how to make their Zoom classes more accessible. and kind of at a multiple places is helping our staff in the DLDRC know how to better serve students and gain more skill. Also, how do we help our faculty gain more skill to work with students, and then being able to help students. So we kind of have this three-pronged approach. And what I am hearing most recently, and we have been working on it, is the desire for closed captioning that will continue. I do think it's important to know that when there's a desire for something such as closed captioning, we will work to support that from a universal design perspective. But if we do have a student who is, for example, hearing impaired or deaf, and they are registered with us, some of those individuals may not prefer closed captioning. They may prefer an ASL interpreter. They may prefer different technologies that we have. And so we might implement those prior to. So it's trying to find the balance between what's going to help support the whole campus and what's going to help those students who are registered with the DLDRC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Lauren.
Hi, Dr. Halter. Thank you for being here. I wanted to bring up something that was mentioned last week when we did have ITS come to our meeting. I know previous senators have mentioned that a lot of their constituents have requested closed captioning, and I appreciate all the other options too. I think that is very valid, especially depending upon the student. But when asked about it last week, if I remember correctly, someone can fact check me on this if I'm wrong, but ITS said that they hadn't had any communication from the DLDRC that closed captioning was something that was wanted on campus. Again, if I'm wrong, somebody please correct me on that, but I believe that that is what was said last week. So I was wondering if that has been something that you've been actively communicating with IT about. Thank you.
I'll answer that at two levels, because one piece I don't know the answer, and so I'd have to go back and get more information. We traditionally, in the DLDRC, our focus has been working on an individual basis to support those students who are registered. And so we have worked for closed captioning for those specific students who need it based off their disability and the accommodations. We have not, that I am aware of, specifically outreached to look from a universal design perspective to put closed captioning up on everything. So those are the kind of the two distinctions, but I will go back and ask the DLDRC if they have had any formalized communication about a universal design perspective coming with closed captioning on everything.
Thank you. Angela?
Yeah, so I was just wondering, as far as the professors go, like what that, like, is there required training for like accessibility, or is it optional?
We do not have any required training at this point that I am aware of. We do have what we need to engage in processes that are reasonable to support the student who has a documented disability. And so sometimes in that process, there becomes a requirement for a faculty or staff member to get some training, and we would support that financially if needed, or it may mean bringing in someone else to support. For example, it may be a note taker, it may be someone who's helping someone in a lab setting who's like kind of a TA support, or it may be, thinking about if a faculty doesn't have the skill, can we bring someone in to provide the skill to do what is needed to ensure that student can engage in the class content as best as possible.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, if not, thank you so much. Oh, Angelo.
So I guess it's just more of a comment, and I appreciate you coming and speaking with us today, but I feel that a lot of this work is put on a student, and even students who are registered, it requires like just a constant like follow up and reach out. And I just think that it would be helpful, especially now during COVID and with online learning, that if the DRC took a more active role and tried to address students' needs, like if you have a concern, closed captioning just being like the most obvious, like if when you get those, that to think about how this is impacting all the students, and then kind of just really trying to be more proactive and take a step that doesn't really require each and every student to have to send an email and continue to follow up with this process. So I guess that's just my feedback, and I appreciate you coming, but thank you.
Yeah, and I appreciate your feedback. So, and we will continue to work to enhance our services in whatever ways we can, and we will do our best to prioritize. So thank you for your feedback.
Thank you so much, Dr. Halter, for taking the time to come and speak with us today.
Thank you.
Okay, so next item on the agenda is review of quarter 2 reports and spring 2021 allocations. Rafa.
Thank you, Maya. Hello, everyone. As you probably saw last Monday, I shared with you all the quarter 2 reports as well as the allocations for this spring. I'll be discussing those briefly, basically the master spreadsheets, and if you have any more questions in detail, we can go over. Next slide. For the quarter 2 reports, this is how we are doing now. For the centers, a total of 94,000 was allocated, and only roughly 42,000 was spent, and the remaining is 52,000 from the centers, and the remaining rolls over to the spring. And for the SEC, 379 was allocated, and I need to mention the 100,000 from the Students in Need Fund that was allocated at the beginning, that was allocated, moved to the executive budget under the Speaker of the Senate. That is why it went from 279 to 379. And yeah, and the spend for SEC was 248, and the remaining was 131. And for the ops and the creative zone, 146 allocated and 135 already spent, with 11,000 remaining. Lastly, for TPV, the 212 was allocated, and its spend was 36,000 and remaining 158. And the thing with TPV is that because they have a lump sum, they're able to distribute and have more flexibility with their budget. So that's why, at the beginning they were having 225, but they didn't allocate the 9,500 remaining. So that rolls over to the spring semester. Next slide. Next slide, please. Is everyone able to hear me? I was saying, next slide, please.
If it's easier, you can share your screen as well.
Okay, sounds good. I'll share my screen then. So now I'll move on with the master spreadsheet, the allocations for the spring 2021. The amount spent, as I mentioned earlier, if you sum everything, here are each individual, the centers, the ASG ops, created zone, exec, TPV, and this last 10,000 is an estimate more than anything for the last minute expenses because the quarter two technically ends on December 31st. So that's more than anything an estimate for last minute expenses. So that comes down to 472 expenses with a remaining of 1.2 million to be used during the spring. This is what was requested, and this amount, all of these amounts are what we allocated with the finance committee. We allocated 600,000, 14,000, and we have a remaining of 600, close to 600, 600, over 600,000. And the finance committee and the executive team is aware that we have a big surplus. And that is why we are going to meet during intersession to properly allocate those funds. And during our first meeting in Senate meeting during the spring, Senate will be voting on our decisions. If you agree with that, if you don't agree, but our plan is to meet and then allocate. Any questions, concerns? You want me to go more deeper in anything?
Angelo?
Yeah, so it doesn't really look like there was any big changes in the allocation, but we had such a big remainder. So, and this next semester is going to be remote. So why is it that those changes haven't been made? We see, because we see the funds aren't going to be used. So you would think that we would probably should change something.
Very much. We need to understand this semester was more than like the trial and error semester, trying to figure out how properly use those funds, being conservative, but at the same time, we don't want to, not properly use these funds. And for the spring, the finance committee and myself, we are working to trying to create more guidelines and everything, and having high hopes from the ASGBC. If you're familiar with these, we're in charge of the student orgs, and had high hopes that more student organization will ask for more funds next.
Angelo? Lauren?
I know to speak to that last statement that one of the orgs that I'm on e-board for just got or was told that we have approval for more funding next semester. So if that helps to have a concrete example of orgs requesting funding.
Thank you, Lauren. And yeah, more than anything is because we're trying to figure out how properly use, put the guidelines together, and basically we basically need to be more flexible as from previous years. So that's taking some time. Any more questions, concerns?
Anaya?
Just as possible input, at our exec meeting when we discussed what to do with the extra funds, I suggested that we could possibly use it towards the ASG endowed scholarship. If you guys don't know what that is, it's basically like It's starting this year, next semester. Actually, ASG has their own scholarship, and so we could take a relatively large chunk of this money or whatever you guys deem fit to vote on, and redistribute that back to students literally towards their tuition or needs, whatever they need from the money that they get from the school. And so that could be a way that you could spend this extra $600,000, but that's just one of the many ways that you could give back to students.
Thank you, Naya. And also, this was never a problem before. This is, I think, the first time, maybe not, but in a long time, the ASG has a really big rollover our 600,000 surplus. So I know the situation is challenging trying to utilize in a meaningful way those funds. But I encourage the senators, because you all had the initiators fund. I encourage you all to think about some ideas during the break, and maybe we can allocate more funding to the Senate Initiatives Fund if you all come with more ideas that can be implemented. Maybe not now, but those ideas that are for long-term investment. You know what I mean, for the coming generations of USD.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I had a quick question in regards to like the scholarships and grants. Would Would ASG be able to use some of the initiatives fund and try to allocate towards those scholarships? Because I think that would be a really great idea just to kind of help students out, whether it's like a small scholarship like $500 for textbooks, or just because given the circumstances that we're in, I think that would be great to give to students. But does that also work with like what's it called? I know USD usually sends out a questionnaire in the beginning of the year through One Stop in regards to like if you fill it all out, you can get funding and you can get a scholarship as well. Would that be connected with that as well? I'm just trying to learn more, but thank you.
Yes, and if Maya, if it's fine for you, and I can answer this question.
Yeah, go ahead now.
So this is kind of separate. This is like the first year we're doing it. So for all you past ASG members that were like members last year, if you don't know what the scholarship is, it's okay. I just learned about it this summer. But it's basically, to answer your first question, I don't think we would use the Senate Initiatives Fund because we already fund it like based on the percentage, like a percentage of the money that we have left over at the end of the year, I believe. Madeline can correct me if I'm wrong. Advisor Madeline can correct me if I'm wrong, but we use like a percentage of that and kind of put it away into a separate fund that we allow to like grow with interest or something like that. I don't know finances, but yeah, so we get that from like, it's like extra money we have left over in the year. So we're pulling from that because it's finally big enough to start giving out to students. And so what I said was just from the general $600,000, we would add to that like for this one time because we have so much extra money. And so that is actually a whole new scholarship process that we actually have to like set up and figure out how that would work. The application part of it, we have the who's reviewing the applications and stuff. But that would be a little different from the One Stop like questionnaire and stuff like that. So one, I don't think the Senate Initiatives Fund is necessary for that, but two, it's separate from One Stop's questionnaire.
Thank you. That was helpful, and that's really cool. That's a lot of money for that could help a lot of people.
Thank you, Nadia, for answering that question. And yeah, and that's why also we are meeting during intersession to pretty much plan and decide what is best, how we can really distribute these funds in a meaningful way, and yeah, and we will keep you updated with this information. And during our the spring first Senate meeting, we will be, you all will be voting on this one. Any more questions? Lastly, I want to say I will be publicize all of this information at the beginning of the year, 21, and the reason why is because the quarter two doesn't end until December 31st, so I want to have the actual quarter two expenses, which makes more sense and put everything together in our ASG website. Anything else? Then I want to thank you all. Best of luck during finals, and we will see you on next year. Thank you.
So someone correct me if I'm wrong, but we need a vote to approve the 2021 allocations.
I apologize for that one. I missed that one.
No, you're good, Rafa. Don't worry about it. So are there any motions on the floor? Is there a discussion that needs to be had, AJ?
I move to approve the 2021 allocations.
Second.
Cool. There's a motion on the floor, having been seconded to approve the spring 2021 allocations. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Elena?
I'm sorry, I was trying to put yes. Instead, I put raise my hand.
No problem. Everyone, please keep your votes up until so I can. If Alana Bledman could please cast your vote. Thank you. Chidi, if you could vote as well. I know you're having some technical difficulties though. Thank you. Motion passes. The spring 2021 allocations have been approved. Thank you, Rafa. Thanks, everyone. Next item under new business is approval of new student organizations. Jay.
All righty. Did we stop sharing? What happened?
I got you, Chidi.
Okay. Thank you, Speaker of the Senate. And what is up, guys? Your favorite senator here, back at it again with another presentation about student organizations. And yeah, let's jump right into it. So the first new student org is the Esports Club, whose mission is to provide competitive community for gamers to practice and compete with students on our campus or others. Our goal is to promote casual gaming in specific, to host tournaments and promote playing for fun. And lastly, there's just a re-registering org that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, to be completely honest, codenamed Mecca. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions for the student org chair.
Alana Bledman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can you go back to the previous slide? Yes, I do have a question about the Esports Club. Unfortunately, a lot of community competitive gaming sources do unfortunately highlight a lot of homophobia, xenophobia, racism. So I'm wondering how this club anticipates dealing with that, especially if it's going to be under a school's name. I know that a lot of, excuse my French, but shit talking happens on online gaming services. And I would hate for us to sort of amplify that or support it in any way. So just a question of how this club plans on navigating that.
Okay. Well, I was invited to one of the servers actually, because I took interest in this club, so I was able to join their Discord server and look at the type of diversity or community that they promote. And as far as I can tell, at least right now, and I don't have all of the information, I'm not super experienced with the organization or anything like that. But as far as I could tell, based on the conversations and otherwise, that they have no intentions of promoting that type of behavior on any sort of complex. And they have admins and other people of the sort that directly rectify that type of behavior. And they have very consequential actions for it. That's just what I've seen just based along the Discord server as an avid gamer myself. As for the allegations or otherwise on this specific club, I'm not sure of, honestly. Did that kind of help answer you, or?
I can jump in here too. My name is Alec Parks. I work with the campus rep.
So sorry. Alec, could you please raise your hand? Actually, now I think about it, that's something, unfortunately, members of the public can't talk until the hearing of the public. So we just have to go off of what the senators or advisors or ex officio members know. Alana Bloodman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you to the previous senator. I definitely still hold some hesitations about personally allowing this new org to start up without specifics about how they plan on censoring any ill conversation, how they plan on managing if anything racial or whatever comes up. I could also imagine that being a senator in that space is powerful. It's like a leadership role, and I can imagine that people might not be inclined to start cussing up a storm while you're there, especially as you're the one in charge of their registration. So I think I would just be wondering about how this org can solidify a zero tolerance policy or what their rules against that are, because it is unfortunate that it is a large part of gaming online is the negative talk and cussing, and so I would hate to just create an unhealthy environment.
Okay. Could I respond to that? Am I allowed to, or do I have to raise my hand?
You're good, Jay. You have the floor, so you can respond.
Okay. So, as far as being a senator or being invited otherwise, I'm gonna. I assume this is just an assumption. Like maybe something went on in the background, but I highly doubt it. No one knows me or like who I am within the Discord server itself, because my name is obviously not Senator J or anything pertaining to my name. It is not. I haven't been announced. I haven't been like welcomed or anything like that. It was just, hey, here's the link. You can join, and without any other understanding of not knowing anyone else in the group and them not knowing me, I suspect it would be very hard for them to understand that I'm a senator and I'm like trying to regulate them or anything of the sort. So I would like to think that they have no prior knowledge of who I am or anything like that. And I don't think that is an aspect that we should be worried about personally. But as far as your other concerns, I do share your same suspicion, but I don't. Just looking at the diverse community, I don't, and the kindness in the chat and so on, I don't see it being a very prevalent issue.
Ezra?
So I think that the issue isn't necessarily that this is happening on this particular Discord, but that it's a culture in gaming in general. And so for the University of San Diego to implement an esports club, I think that just knowing that this community is very toxic, very oppressive at times, there needs to be some kind of protection because we don't want to have an incident after this club is approved and have no precautions being put in place previously to disallow that incident to happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just as I said previously, I don't have the extensive knowledge to know everything that they do. I am just aware that they have admin servers, they have admin watchers, they have people who would get kicked out, and administrators and so on who continue to regulate the chat on a daily basis on what is allowed, what isn't allowed, what they do promote, and what they don't promote. That is what I am aware of. I would like to think that they wouldn't allow that type of behavior, and I haven't seen any thus far. So that's all I can say about it, unfortunately.
Ben?
Yes, I definitely understand the concerns with this, especially because as someone who enjoys playing video games, there are a lot of environments where people say things that are totally inappropriate and unacceptable. In the larger world of gaming itself, those things take place. I have also been a part of some gaming clubs and type things, and in my experience at least, it's a totally different world. The chats are regulated. There are people who are banned from servers or the club as a whole for saying things that are inappropriate and inexcusable. So I wouldn't want this club to be sort of just generalized as gaming as a whole, because in my experience, professional gaming and gaming clubs are really just a place for people who enjoy a specific genre of game to come together and enjoy it together instead of the broader sense of gaming, which is a very hostile and inappropriate environment. So I would just like to make that sort of distinction between gaming as a whole and gaming clubs, which in my experience have been way more professional and monitored very heavily to censor anything that is not okay.
We've reached our allotted time for this agenda item, so if anyone would like to make a motion to extend the time, they could do that now.
Madeline?
I move to extend the time for this discussion to 10 minutes.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, having been seconded, to extend the time for discussion by 10 minutes. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. If possible, can Chidi please vote? Thank you. Motion passes. I had Madeline next on stack.
Thank you. Is it possible to not approve esports like right now, but approve the other orgs and then wait till we hear from the public on the esports club?
You're asking if we can vote during the hearing of the public or like at next Senate's meeting?
Like next Senate's meeting, like we'll table esports, but we can approve the other ones that are on stack for today.
I think that's possible. Jay or Sarah, if you wanted to give more context.
I wanted to kind of give my I have the same sentiments as the previous senator who spoke about gaming in regards to the gaming clubs versus the actual gaming community. I believe that those are two very, very different things that are worthy of consideration. But that's the only thing I can say about that. And otherwise, I wouldn't like I personally wouldn't recommend moving it to the next senator meeting to vote. I think maybe we can listen to the public because I think there's somebody here who has something to say about it, who might be able to give us some more insight about it.
Sarah?
Yeah, would you mind if I lay out the options in terms of Ron? Okay, cool. So your options are to accept both clubs, to approve them, and then maybe just ask for further details later. Or you could table this indefinitely if you don't want to deal with it and approve the other club. Or you could table this for the next meeting after gaining more information and approve the last one, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Sarah. Ari?
Yeah, I agree with the sentiments of the previous senator and understanding the concerns. And I think another question I would raise to the esports club is what type of platform would you be using to conduct this? Because I imagine that not all platforms to stream gaming are censored. I know Twitch is because my little sister uses it and she watches people play Sims. But that's a bit different. They're children. So I know Twitch has censorship for things such as that. When it comes to uses of language, they monitor that, and I think that's conducted by bots and administration. But yeah, if they're using, and I think it would also depend on the platform. But yeah.
Lauren?
I move to approve the re-registering org and table the discussion of the new student org until our next Senate meeting.
Second.
Sarah, just to check, is that cool? Or do you have to make it separate motions for each club?
To be safe, I would say to make it 2 different motions because I'm not sure about mixing them.
Lauren?
I move to table the discussion of the esports club until next Senate meeting.
Point of clarification? Is that allowed?
Yeah,
when next meeting, next spring? That sounds.
That was another thing I was kind of hesitant on.
Well, we have to vote on this anyways because we have to make a motion to amend this motion and then vote on that and then vote on the amendment. So, Lauren, if you'd like to make a motion to amend, or anybody would like to make a motion to amend, Madeline?
Sorry, I forgot to not unraise my hand. Can I still just second Lauren's motion? The motion.
There's already been a second for the motion. So there's a motion on the floor having been seconded right now. So we can vote on that. And I know that some people seem to be against that. So we could just fail the motion by everybody voting no. That's a possibility. Let's just move forward with the vote. Okay, there's a motion on the floor having been seconded to approve one org and then table esports, which it seems like we're not a fan of. So if you would like to fail this motion, so there another motion can be made to approve or not approve the orgs one by one. Is there any further discussion? Madeline?
Sorry, my hand wouldn't unraise itself.
Ben?
So to clarify, this motion that we're voting on is to approve the re-registering org and to table this new org.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that is the okay.
Yeah, that is the motion. And as the parliamentarian suggested, having the motions be individual based off the orgs. So if everyone could cast their vote right now. Ari?
On the minutes, do you want me to put table discussion or motion? Right, because there's two different motions, right?
There's one motion to do all of it.
Okay.
So, because there wasn't a second on the other motion.
Got it. That's all I need.
We're voting on that one motion right now to table the esports club, but approve Mecha. Proxy Audrey, can you please cast your vote? Okay, motion fails. So are there any other motions or more discussions to be had on what to do with the orgs? Alana Bloodman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I do have another question about the organization for the esports organization. I would wonder about the amount of participants that would be outside of USD's community and what that would do in terms of keeping, our community guidelines up to par. But if we're inviting people from the outside gaming community, opening the club up to friends that are near, I think it might get a little bit trickier in terms of keeping our student body safe, especially with the point of anonymity. So even if I go on, I can pretend I'm not at USD and then, act a fool or whatever the case may be. So I think that's something also to note.
Lana Della Torre.
Hi. To add some more context, I guess, to the club, when they came to us, so first there's Torero Gaming, which is already a club on campus. It's been a registered club for a while, but the difference between the esports club is that it'd be kind of like any other sports club in that they'd have to what's the word? Yeah, it's more competitive, and they would have to audition is not the right word. I'm forgetting what the word is. Try out. Thank you. They have to try out for it to get on the team. And the people they'd be playing against, from my understanding, based on when they present to us, was for example, they said SDSU has an esports club, so they'd be playing against other schools with clubs. But yeah, just some more clarification on the org.
Thank you, Alana. Lauren.
Yeah, I am curious, maybe this is a question for a parliamentarian. From my point of view, it seems that a lot of senators want more clarification on specifics of this club that cannot be given at this time. So if we disapprove the registration of a club, does that forbid them from ever trying to reapply under the same org name again? Or could we fail at this time and then maybe hear from them and then approve? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I'm not gonna lie, I actually don't know the details and specifications for that. I'm gonna just assume that they can, but I wouldn't take my exact word for it. But I also wanted to make the clarification that if you all do choose to table the bill to the next Senate meeting, for example, and we have public of the hearing, and we have a lot more further clarification on that, and then you all decide, sorry, that was a timer, what you all want to do, during public of the hearing, you can make a motion to take a bill from the table, even if you haven't reached that deadline. So that is an option that you all can use. And now that my timer went off, we've reached our a lot of time for this agenda item.
Alana Bloodman.
I move to extend the time by 5 minutes.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, having been seconded, to extend the discussion time by 5 minutes. Is there any further discussion? Max?
Hi guys. So I kind of have a background of esports, and
what the sense of an esports community is. And Alana or the past center explained it greatly in the sense where it's more of just a competitive team, say like the lacrosse club, the soccer club, the volleyball club, anything of that sorts. I don't think it's gonna carry a negative connotation with it, and those things are good.
Sorry, point of order. The motion on the floor is to extend the time at the moment. So that's discussion that's aside from the motion. So let's pass the motion or fail it first, and then we can move on.
Okay, I second the motion.
So if there's no further discussion, please cast your votes. Meg O'Hearn, can you please cast your vote? Thank you. Motion passes. I had Lauren next on stack.
I have nothing to say at this time. I did, but then other things were said. Sorry.
Max, sorry.
Sorry about that, guys. So what I was talking about kind of was just, I understand the culture and the awareness of like not wanting to have a negative connotation with this, but I think this club would be moderated by a coach in a sense of any sports would be, where there's only positive aspects coming from it. So I think it's more about the sense of having fun and just finding a way to meet with other people throughout the country, and especially in this pandemic, as I said on the mission. So I think it's important to people who especially don't get out and see the sun a lot and want to have some fun with other people. So I encourage this club, and I think this would be a great idea for a lot of people on campus.
Thank you, Max. Thomas?
Yeah, to echo his sentiments and also given the context of previous senators stated, my question is how anonymous are students going to be when they're trying out for an esports team that is going to compete against other campuses? And so I think that the sports club can be regulated more easily than say like any type of gaming community because these students are getting picked by the club.
Thank you, Thomas. Jay?
So I also believe I appreciate the sentiments of the previous senator, first of all, and then I think it's a relevant point to include that the leader of this club is actually one of the main leaders, if not the leader, from my memory, of the Terrell Gaming Club, and so she. This at first was just an idea to be an extension of the club, but then it became relatively popular. So she wanted it to become its own type of club and ordeal. And so just thinking about how the other club was already an organization, already something that was regularly moderated, so on and so forth, I don't share the same sentiments as the other senators who are very concerned about this being an issue, considering the leadership is transferring over, so on and so forth. As well as if by all means, like there is a bunch of questions that I cannot continue to answer, rather, for the sake of time and otherwise, we could table this, considering that the semester is about to end and they can just stick to their regular group that they're already in, and then we can come back to this in the spring.
Sean?
Yeah, so I'd like to, I guess as well, echo recent sentiments because I think it would be a good club to have, and I do think like there is definitely an important concern about like moderating language and like derogatory comments and like that side of the culture of things. So I do think it's essential we have like that in place. But with that in mind, I do think this would be a good club to have, and I move to approve the club, if that's possible right now.
Or just to clarify, just this club, just the esports club?
Sorry, both clubs if possible.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor having been seconded to approve new org, esports club, and re-registering Mecha org. Is there any further discussion? Alana Bloodman.
So sorry.
Alana Delatorre.
I'd also like to add, either way this vote ends up going, I can still reach out to the org and ask those questions / just be in contact with them and make sure that we bring up the concerns that were brought here. So just wanted to add that.
Amanda doesn't have a raise hand feature, but as an ex officio member, Amanda.
Thanks, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to add just a couple of extra clarifying points. So esports works extremely close with campus rec. This is a new thing that's happening across all campus universities, that they're starting to hire on staff members to support esports. And so I know that this is something that the staff in campus rec is working extremely close with this organization. And second, if anything ever were to come up where there were, something happen, we have our student org discipline board in place to address this matter, either on an individual level or on an organizational level. So I just want to reiterate that point.
Thank you, Amanda. Ari?
Yeah, just going off of what Amanda had said, I know that if they chose a platform like Twitch, they could stream it live and it does pre-record. So afterwards, viewers can view it. I mean, if my younger siblings can watch it for 3 hours, anyone can volunteer to come and watch it for 3 hours as well. Just that way, if the org wants to stay on top of that, that's a platform that they could use to just reference and kind of go through and ensure that, individuals are following procedure. But there are people who will volunteer to watch those for very long hours.
Jay?
Just for clarification, this club is it doesn't have, it has based on the Discord server alone. So just take that information however you want to take that. Based on the Discord server alone of what I saw, it is not exclusive to Twitch and it is not exclusive to streamers. There's casual gaming, there's competitive gaming, there's Twitch, there's some YouTube channels that have been approved by the club before it was allowed to promote. There's a specific channel to help promote people. There's specific channels for moderation. There's specific channels for people who just want to game just cause. There's a whole bunch of it broadens the aspects of what the esports club is. Just for clarification, it's not just for streaming.
Well, if there's no further discussion, there is a motion on the floor to approve this new org and the re-registering org. So if there's no further discussion, please cast your votes. Ari, can you please cast your vote as well? Okay, motion passes. Esports and Mecha have been approved.
Madam Speaker, a point of privilege.
Taken well. Thanks, AJ. Next item on the agenda is final business and hearing of the public. At this time, any senator may take from the table any motion previously laid on the table in the meeting the week before or present urgent business. Any member of the public may voice any concerns to the assembly on non-agenda items. Justice?
Alrighty, hi everyone. So kind of back to the sweatshirts. So we have your addresses recorded based on the ASG survey. Over break, if you're not going to be at that address, please email me. I'll put my email in chat with your new address that you'll be at. So if we do send them over the break, it'll be sent to the right address. Thank you.
Wait, do I have to raise my hand?
Oh, sorry. Was that a point of privilege, Jay?
No, sorry.
Okay. Angelo.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to say something about the extra funds and kind of how it appears to be one of the big problems with the closed captioning. I mean, it's not that it doesn't exist, it's money. So if the university, still hasn't responded, it's because of the money. And so maybe we could use some of those extra funds for that. And then I also wanted to bring up that since the pass-fail was denied, and some of the reasons were that it wasn't established at the beginning of the semester, given that the university really hasn't solidified any changes that they're going to make. If anyone's interested in working with me on creating a resolution for next semester regarding that, and that we could get it passed at the beginning, so we could kind of take away that point that they made, that it wasn't established at the beginning of the semester. So if anyone is interested in that, just send me an email.
Thank you, Angelo. Feel free to send your email in the chat as well. Elena?
Yes, hello everyone. In my previous committee meeting, and I met with Madeline this week. I was working with them and expressing my concerns with some of my experiences with the SLP dining services, and so I wanted to see if, we created a survey with certain questions on it that would, allow for the whole student body to, take interaction and see how their experiences with the dining services at the SLP specifically have been. And I'm still solidifying the questions, but I'm hoping to portray that on a platform. I think Madeline gave me some suggestions, so I'm going to contact whoever's in charge of the newsletter. But further, I want to take this not just as a survey, but like Rafa was saying, think about initiatives that we could use to funding money. So maybe my idea is to have barcode stickers on the SLP dining tables where students can, scan after each meal and then provide immediate feedback to either the director of SLP or whoever needs to be tailored that funnel. So I just wanted to let y'all know that I'm working on that, and I still don't know the exact logistics, but I did want to, give that option and survey to the whole student body so they can express their concerns to the SLP.
Thank you, Jay.
I completely forgot what I was going to say. Please come back to me. I apologize for that.
Okay, Ari.
Madam Speaker, can I leave for class?
Take them well. Thanks, Sean.
So a reminder, so this week, Maya decided we had announced in an email that we're going to be doing 3 hours a week. I believe it's for finals week to do, or was it this week? Just for clarification. I think it's 3 hours. But yeah, and then just another reminder to please finalize all your office hours by the end of the semester if you haven't been able to have time to put them in or update them. And yeah, guys, great jobs this semester.
Thank you, Ari. Yeah, the 3 office hours are for this week. No office hours next week, finals week. So good luck on finals. And members of the public, if you would like to receive Grub credit, please send your email in the chat. Senators, you do not have to send your email in the chat. We already got you. And Jen, you want to speak?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. I feel like I say the similar thing, but I just wanted to express what a great job you all have given this semester to USD and in your roles. You should all be incredibly proud, and we hope that you all have learned and grown and challenged yourself, and we look forward to that next semester as well. I know that as you all have been working on this pass-fail response and advocating for your students, just wanted to send out an extra positive energy and well wishes on this week, and as you all lead into finals. I hope that you all are as successful as you can be for your classes. And while you all are on break, we wish you well. We wish you so much rest and all the things that you all need for yourselves for next semester. But please know that everyone on the SAI staff and your advisors, we're here for you. So please know that if you ever need to reach out, we are here. So please connect. But as this is the last Senate of the semester, great job. And we wish you all well, and you should all be so proud of yourselves. So thank you all. Please know that we're still here. So just wanted to send that message to you all.
Thank you, Jen. Lauren?
Well, first of all, thank you, Jen. That was a very sweet message. Also, if there is no further discussion, I move to adjourn today's Senate meeting. I do that hesitantly now because there's usually more discussion after I say it, but yeah.
Second? There's a motion on the floor, having been seconded to adjourn today's meeting. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Angelo? No? Okay, well, please cast your vote. Okay, motion passes. This meeting is adjourned. I'm not very good at being sentimental, but thank you all so much. And I'm very proud of all of the work that you've done this semester, especially with having a late start. So yeah, thank you, everyone.